Kegels actually fixed leakage. 1 in 3 women in this entire world wouldn't still be struggling with bladder control. Like, let's be real. Most of us have been told to just do more Kegels without any understanding of how the pelvic floor actually works. It's literally not about squeezing more. It's about retraining your entire system and how it works together. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Courtney. I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist and entrepreneur, helping women all over the world stop their leakage. In this video, I'm breaking down the proven 5-step system I use with my clients to stop leakage and get them back to lifting, running, and living their lives without fear. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about my client, Kylie, who was a postpartum mom, 2 kids, and leaking, pain, like a laundry list of pelvic floor issues. When I'm talking about a laundry list, I'm talking about every single symptom you would think if this pelvic floor was weak. Her core was absolutely destroyed and she probably broke her back, right? Low back pain, hip pain, tailbone pain, pain with intercourse, prolapse, leakage, constipation, IBS issues. Like, I'm talking a whole gambit of pelvic floor issues. And when we first started, she honestly thought she had a weak core, diastasis recti, and that was contributing to a lot of her symptoms, right? But after one assessment, we realized that her pelvic floor was actually overworking way too much. Yes, of course, being postpartum, you realize that the foundation is obviously a little bit off, right? You just grew a baby for 9 months. You probably do have some core separation and disconnection there. You probably also have some pelvic floor issues, hip pain, low back pain. All of those things can kind of go hand in hand. But what we actually realized, like with her assessment, is that her pelvic floor was really, really tight, overworking, clenching, and disconnected from her breath. We started with a lot of release work, breath training, and movement, like not even strength training just yet. And within literally like a month, she was able to start noticing differences in her symptoms. And then as we kind of progressed through the program, giving her simple things to do here and there, as well as a full-blown training routine, she was actually able to get back to barbell training confidently and be able to get back into group fitness with her trainer and friends, which obviously brought her a lot of joy. So there was a lot to her healing journey as we got started. And I want to say this first, that everybody's healing journey looks different. So if I share a little bit about, what we did with her, doesn't mean that's exactly where you need to start, because your journey might look a little bit different than Kylie's journey. So I'm going to share a little bit more about her story and what we did when we worked with her. First things first, you can't fix what you can't feel. Most women have no idea what their pelvic floor is doing. So with Kylie, we started by reconnecting her breath with the deep core, her diaphragm, her transverse abdominis, and her pelvic floor all together, and learning to feel when the floor relaxes and then when it contracts. This isn't woo-woo, like this is neuromuscular training. And this neuromuscular retraining is so important when it comes to rebuilding the foundation of the core after pregnancy, and especially early on postpartum. It can really help mitigate your risk for long-term pelvic floor dysfunction. So this neuromuscular retraining and getting everything to kind of coordinate together again is actually the first step we take with anybody that we're working with, because you're rebuilding that foundation to then build the house on top of. Once the foundation is cracked and resettled, right? Like, you can't build anything on top of a cracked foundation. Once you rebuild that foundation, get that neuromuscular training done, then you build on top, and then the body obviously is the house, and the house is built, and you don't have as much issues down the line. The next thing that we did is release before we started reinforcing all the movement patterns. So a tight pelvic floor, like I mentioned before in my previous videos, is a very weak pelvic floor. If you've been leaking, having tension, feeling heaviness or pain during intimacy or back pain, hip pain, all the things, you likely need to release first. So we use things like pelvic floor relaxation, breath work, adductor stretching, hip flexor stretching, hip mobility, and down training to calm the nervous system so it can actually respond to load later. Because if the pelvic floor is having a lot of tension build up, and your body also is having a lot of tension build up because you're at a higher stress level, you're early postpartum, you're not sleeping, you have all these other environmental factors in your life, there's a lot that says that stresses the system. When you're in central nervous system fatigue, you can't overload the system because you're not going to recover. So if we can get the system to start down training and be able to accept stress to the body without overdoing it, then the body has a chance to recover. So this is actually really, really important when it comes to working with women, especially early postpartum, when they have a lot going on, but they also need to work on their body and get their body back, for lack of a better word. The next thing that we did for her was after we rebuilt that coordination and control is where we layer timing back in. So the pelvic floor has to contract with movement. It's not random. You don't just do Kegels all the time. We retrain your pelvic floor connection using functional movement patterns like breath to movement syncing, right? So transverse abdominal activation, breath work, as well as putting them within a progression-based like strength training program. So like lunges or rows or dead bugs and functional movement patterns like squats or deadlifts, we put those patterns back in while we're still retraining the functional patterns of your breathing and your pelvic floor connection and putting it all together, because that's how the body works. When you put everything together, that's when the system actually knows, okay, yes, this is how I'm supposed to breathe, this is how I'm supposed to embrace, and this is how the body all works together. If the things aren't working together, then the body's not going to know what to do. It's going to take the path of least resistance, and that's where you get compensatory patterns. And then when you get compensatory patterns, that's when pain starts to creep in, years and years and years of that. That's when all of the things blow up in your face and you're like, now I'm stuck with this issue. What the heck do I do? And then the next thing that we do is start strength training. We overload the system each week. We add more load, right? We're getting ready to get strong at this point. Squats, deadlifts, overhead presses, all of the bilateral movement patterns, maybe the more fun strength training stuff. This is all done with proper breathing and core integration. This isn't about avoiding strength. This is not what we want to do. We don't want to just load with really, really small movement patterns, Pilates-based movements, slow, tiny connection breath work. Like, this is about reinforcing everything that we just focused on. And now in this phase, it's about using your breath work, your core, your pelvic floor all together, strengthening the whole body to reinforce your pelvic floor, and your breath needs to move when it needs to move with your movement pattern, so that way you stay supported down there, especially early postpartum, so that way you don't have the leakage, you don't have the pressure, you don't have the symptoms that pop up later after you're done working out as well, because your pelvic floor remains in the game, it's teammates with the body, it's all connected, and you don't have to worry about all these other symptoms popping up down the line. And then the last thing we do is we return to impact and loading. So this is the step most women never really get to, especially in insurance-based physical therapy, because they're too scared, as well as their insurance doesn't cover it. It's honestly really, really crappy. So yes, you can run, jump, lift heavy again, you can do all of those things, but it takes gradual exposure. It takes load monitoring. It takes smart pelvic floor and core awareness. It takes proper programming, proper dosage, along with confidence, along with not having fear, along with a better mindset to want to get better, right? You can't stop when the fear sets in. You can't just say, oh, I'm too scared to do this, so I'm not going to do that. You have to let yourself be challenged. And when you accept the challenge of getting stronger because you're running and you're jumping and you're lifting, you're doing all these higher level activities, you might have a little relapse in symptoms, but that's appropriate. Like, that's appropriate when you stress the body, because the body adapts to stress that's imposed on it. And as long as you continue to put more stress and stress and stress, the body will adapt to that more stress and your body will come back stronger. That is the goal with progression-based rehab, progression-based strength training. Like, those principles are what rehab is. And typical rehab doesn't progress in that fashion because people are scared. I don't know. Providers there's a lot of providers out there that really just don't load in the way that they need to load. They're nervous, and maybe they just don't have the capacity or bandwidth to do it inside of a clinic. I don't know what it is, but this is the proper way we rehab. I promise you it works. It's worked for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. It worked for Kylie, and this is the way the cookie crumbles. And I promise you, if you start doing this groundwork, you lay the foundation and you rebuild and you rebuild and you test the system over and over again and you push the threshold over and over again, you're going to see a change, and you're going to be happy with that change. You don't need to continue settling for panty liners, leakage, fear. You just need smarter, more complete strategy. Like, that's all it takes. One that treats you like a whole person, not just a set of muscles to squeezes. Like, that's it. That's literally it. If that's the only thing you've done, you've only tried Kegels and nothing has worked, I promise you this setup, this new system is what you need. And if you're in a position where you're like, dude, this sounds amazing, I really, really need this, then if you're ready for a proven personalized plan, then check the link below and apply to our pelvic floor coaching program. Like, we would love to be able to work with you. We work with women ready to reclaim their bodies and finally feel strong again. Like, women that are committed to the process. Like, that is us. Like, if you need help, drop a comment below, drop any other questions you have below. I'd love to answer them. And make sure that you quit falling for this gimmicky stuff. Like, I promise you, if you start doing the work and you start learning the foundations of all of this, like, you're going to see great results. And make sure you hit that subscribe button for weekly pelvic health strategies that actually go beyond Kegels. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more content coming your way. And if you have any other additional comments, thoughts, concerns about what video I should make next, then drop that in the comments below and I'd love to be able to make a video.